This is the second video that I'm going to be doing about this window installation. I'll put a link to the other one where I did the outside, where I actually took this window out, put it in, sealed it, and got it all set up from the outside. It turned into a little bit extra effort, so I decided to break it into two. This wall, the space is a little bit thicker than the normal window would handle because they put double drywall here. There's some sheathing on the outside, it's like an insulation, and then the exterior cedar siding. So I actually had to put uh, window jamb extension in here, which is a piece of wood or really a box from the window out to the edge so that when the casing goes on, this part is finished just because it's a little bit bigger than normal. So that's what we're going to cover here. And then putting on the casing, caulking it all, just getting the reveal right and all of that.
This is how I ended the previous video where it's already installed. And so what I'm going to do, the window is so now I'm going to measure out for the jamb extension here. So I just want to get the exact size because I'm essentially just building a box that goes in here and I want it to be pretty tight. It's not perfectly square, so I just want to get the smallest edge or smallest length on each side, and that top right corner is the one that's longer and not square. But essentially I just want to put a square in there. Again, it's like I said, I'm showing that it's going wider from that side down to there, but I want to build a square box and put it in there, and then so that I don't have to deal with that. So again, measured it out, got my markings of the length and the width. And again, you don't want to put a not square box in that person, because then that's obviously going to be visible by the reveal's not going to be the same around the window. So again, I got that. So the next is to see what the width or the thickness is, not the thickness, but how far it is from the window to the edge, because I want it to go out just to the edge of the drywall. And the drywall might be different depending on how much putty they put in there, the seam. So if I'm the easiest, it's just get a piece across the corner like this, and it gives you a good not rough, but a good estimate, trying to take out some of that, the changes in the drywall. So I'm going to measure each corner so I get an idea of exactly what it is. Because it's really hard to build a box here with different sizes. So I'm going to build them all the same, or one side, as long as it's within 1/8 of an inch, because I know I can seal that. So again, I'm measuring all the corners. But I think this is really important to see the steps of going through, so that you can see beginning to end what you have to measure, what parts you can fix, because at the end they're going to be caulking a lot of the seams and everything, so it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect because it's going to be caulked over, but this is one of the areas that you need to get it pretty close. So I measured each corner, and it was within I think like a 1/16 or an 1/8 of an inch, so I knew it was going to be pretty easy to do this. So I'm marking down here just so I know to get an idea when I go to cut each one of those pieces, the width of it. So here I'm kind of looking at just to make sure how far it's going to stick out, and I'm also making sure that when that box sits in there, that jamb extension, it's not going to hit the drywall, because if it's hitting the drywall, so I had to trim a little bit there. It would be bowed out. It just wouldn't work. So you see this part, the drywall is actually sticking out past the jamb. And so I need to cut that off so that when I go through the box, this is pretty easy. It doesn't have to be perfect because this is all going to be covered by the molding around the outside that covers that up. So this wasn't too bad. Just took a knife here and just cut it off and trimmed as much as I could, or needed to. And once I do that, then I can see that the box jamb is going to sit in there and not be obstructed. And so the easiest I found was just using the table saw here. So I'm getting it to that thickness that I measured. I keep saying thickness, but the width of the jamb, I guess it's kind of hard because I'm using a 3/4 inch just regular that I'm going to use as the molding. It's 3/4 inch, but that part doesn't really matter, other than to verify, that it's going to give the reveal I want. So tested out, my width on just a junk piece. This one I actually wrote the dimensions on, just so I can make sure it's correct before I go and cut all my molding this way. Says I had an 8-foot piece that I could get 3 pieces out of it, and I had one smaller piece, so I just ran that through. And then I'm going to keep the fence in the same place so that I can run the last piece through. Here's the last piece, and just running it through pretty easily here. And so you can see once I sit it on there, it's correct. So this is what I want. I want it to be the same distance to the drywall, so that when I go and put the molding on there, or this I keep calling it casing, molding, whatever you want, it's going to sit flat on there. I didn't feel like going getting my miter saw. I probably should have. It wasn't really bad. So I just used went back to the this saw and then just used a square on it. It was good enough because this is, again, going to be covered by the molding. So you can see I actually got a pretty good, almost perfect cut here, but it's going to be covered by the molding. So you can see it's sitting in there like this. So I'm getting the width right, or the height of the sides right, and I want it up just to the edge there. I think there's like a 1/16 inch gap. This other side, I know it's not going to be, but that's fine. I'm just going to shim that on the top. So this is that side that's not square. And it's kind of showing you what it's going to look like with the box, where it's going to sit in there like this, and then that's going to give you that finished look on the inside, and then the molding will sit over top of this, and it covers that drywall, and it gives you the reveal. So that's just how you finish it all. So next, once I got the sides, I just need to do the top and the bottom, and then just keep in mind that those sides are going all the way up. So I need to subtract the total distance minus those edges. So that's what I'm just doing. I'm not really sure why I'm showing you this, other than I made a mistake. I was started adding the width of the board instead of, I needed the actual thickness. So luckily I caught it when I'm paying attention here. So those sides are 3/4 inch each, so 1.5 inches. So I had to take that total measurement minus the 3/4. So I like drawing it just to make sure. And this is where I measured wrong. I thought I had that full 8-foot board, and then the piece I had left over was smaller than my original one. So I had to cut another piece and waste another 8-foot board just cutting a piece off. But whatever, I got that done. I had my table saw out, so that's a nice flat area. So I was just using that. So I'm just going to build the square here that I need. Just putting it in with some brad nails. It doesn't have to be really that strong. It's sitting in there, and it's going to be held on all sides, and then from the front and the back. So I just got this square I wanted to double check before I put the last piece in there, just the bottom and the sides. Again, just a couple of brad nails in there. So it should fit in here, not super tight, but enough where it's going to go in there. And I just want to verify that the top works and the bottom, because the top is going to go in between the two sides. But you can just get a visual view now. You can see where there's a little bit of a reveal on the window. And then, but you see how it's going to be finished once it's sealed. And then here, just completing the last part of the box. And you want to make sure this is square. It can bend a little bit. You can get it back into shape. But you want it as square as possible so you're not having to mess around with it. I was struggling a little bit. I should have brought out my table, but it was such a small little project. I felt like doing it here. So I got in one piece, and I will make sure that it was square. So I got one so I could kind of rotate it a little bit. And I'm sure this hasn't happened to anybody else, but you're like, oh, this will be a thing. And then I dropped it. Luckily, I didn't break it, and it fell on that unfinished side. You can see where I cut, where it's not painted. And if I haven't said it, this is pre-primed molding. So here it is. It's going to go in there. I'm still going to paint it, but I just getting an idea just to kind of look at, okay, now I got a good reveal from the window to this jamb extension. It sits flat here, so then when I put the molding around, that's going to sit flat, and I'm not going to have to do too much caulking or gaps or anything like that. So I noticed that this was, working just kind of like I wanted. And I'm going to finish the inside. I like pre-painting. I found this easier to do than trying to paint it while it's up there and having to mask stuff off, and I'm not really that good of a painter. So I caulk the corners and then let that dry overnight. And then I'm going to, like I said, just paint this all, pre-paint this. And you only have to paint the inside, these edges. Obviously, the one that goes against the window is not going to be seen at all. The one that goes out that I'm looking at right here is not going to really be seen. You'll just see just a little bit because there'll be a reveal from the molding. So that's why. But I have the roller out, so it'll give me a good finish, so I don't have to deal with it. But I just went ahead and painted all this, and then while I had it paint out, I might as well just paint the casing as well. So I did this little piece and then that longer piece, so I had it all done, so that I could just install it and then worry about just the last finishing touches. As I mentioned, this is pre-primed. I think it's pine or this kind of fingerboard, but I found this is the easiest, especially when I'm doing white. It's already primed for you, and I can just do a real quick finish on it. So once I got it, let it dry, reinstalled this. So it's actually going to sit flush in the bottom left. As I mentioned, that's the kind of square corner. And then it's pretty simple. Just nail it in here. I put one piece in there. I just want to make sure it was square, and that's why I had to put that. You can see I'm putting in the piece in there to to get it back into square. The spacing there, but the bottom sits flush. So I just put 3 nails to make sure I'm hitting something solid on there. Again, this isn't going to be pulled a lot. But then I got a little bit more in there just to, again, I'm getting it tight in there, but you don't want to push it too much so that it's you're bowing it. So I'm putting a little bit in the middle. It's hard to see, but just enough so that the nail can go through that and it stays solid. And I'm sure you know how to cut these off and just remove them so that it's flush again. The top, again, I'm just putting it in there pretty lightly, just enough that I didn't have to wedge it in there, so I'm not bowing that window and messing up the reveal, so I get a nice straight reveal. But then just go through those on the corners where I have the wood blocking. I think my thing started getting jammed here. I really don't like this nailer. It's new, and I'm getting annoyed with it. Start playing with it. It's jamming. It's not coming out, and I think I finally realized I should probably just take the hose out while I'm messing with it. Anyways, got it fixed. Got it working again. So 3 nails on the top, 3 nails on the bottom. This is just enough just to kind of hold it in place. And then a couple on the bottom here. This one's sitting flat, so I didn't have to put any spacers or anything in there. This went in pretty easy. Mostly because I spent a lot of time measuring it, making sure where I could put it was square. So at this point, it's in and it's solid. Again, I'm going to caulk those corners where it meets the window, so you don't have to worry about that. But just double checking everything else is flat here, so that I can start putting the molding in here. And so I just need to do this. If you're doing the corners 45, then you would have to do something similar to this, but you want to have a reveal around it. Usually an 1/8, 3/16. I like an 1/8 just because it's a little bit smaller. You don't want to put your molding all the way up to the edge because it's too hard to get it, especially when it's not square. So you go back a little bit, and so you get a little bit of an edge there. So what I'm doing is measuring. So I measured the interior and then added that reveal on each side. So it was an 1/8. So I added a 1/4 inch to it. I'm going to do the sides first. I'm just continuing the style that I used with the doors, where I'm putting vertical, almost like rails and stiles. They're vertical up, and then the horizontal pieces sit flush, and then give a square, just because that's the style that was already in there. Again, if you're doing 45 degree, you might have to do it a little bit differently. But if you're doing the 45, you want that interior corner is still going to be the same. So what I found was easiest is I have this little 1/8 inch spacer block, and I'm looking at the reveal at the top of the bottom and then the reveal on the side here, and then I put some blue painter's tape on there exactly where I want the top and the bottom to be. So it's one less thing you're having to try to keep track of when you're putting the actual nail in there. So again, I'm doing that reveal, and then that overhang of 1/8, because it's a little bit longer than the interior. You'll see once that piece goes in like that, I'll have a nice 1/8 inch reveal all the way around top and bottom, because again that side pieces are extending a little past the opening. Make a little bit more sense once I put it in here, but there's the tape. I put it on both sides, and here's my little 1/8 inch spacer. It's kind of hard to see with that backlighting, but that's what I'm double checking here. So I'm going to install it, but I want to verify. So I put it in between the tape, so I know exactly top and bottom where to put it, and I have to make side to side, or the side the reveal was correct. I found it was a little bit easier just to put in the nail at the top, because I want to double check. Sometimes you think it's square, and it's not. But what's easiest is, so I nail both sides, and I'm going to put a straight edge across the top so that I can see when my piece goes in across, whether that's going to sit flush against the whole molding on the sides, so that I get a nice finish there. Because if it's off a little bit, it'll be visible. You have to caulk more, so this just gives a little bit better view. So again, I'm just double checking, and then the reveal, it's sitting there. I'll have a 1/8 inch around the sides as well. So again, just before I put it in there, have it visually, I can see my reveal. I might be a little bit too picky at this point. Now you can see I'm getting mad because now it really jammed. This nailer, I'm really not happy with it. It went halfway in and then stuck in the end kind of discharge of the nailer, and so I can't pull the nailer away, and the nail's stuck in there. I can see it's halfway in there. I'm not sure why it was getting jammed in there. Yes, I'm making light with my thumbs down, but I was getting really annoyed because then now I have to make this hole bigger as I just try to break this nail out. I think this happened like 3 times. I'm about to throw it away. Anyways, once I got it back, or both sides nailed in there, now I just need to, the only measurement I need is from the edge to edge, because it's the reveal's already set on the sides and then the top and the bottom. So I just cut that to the length, and you can see my reveal is already correct. So I just need to nail this in. So it was easier, and my nailer got stuck again. So anyways, I'm still traumatized by it. I think, like I said, it happened several times. So I had to go back and nail it in there and make extra holes that I'm now going to have to cover. So the top, again, measure the top and the, don't measure the bottom as well, just to make sure it should be correct, because it was square. But I went through and again nailed this, and then put 2 nails in there, and then the nailer acted up again. It was just putting holes in there, wasn't actually putting the nail. Anyways, I hate this nailer. I'm gonna probably act like Office Space movie where I go and take a time to go smash it. Anyways, got this up, get it all into place, and so then now the caulking begins. There's a lot to do here. Just again, between that door jamb, I keep saying door, the window jamb, and the window. So you want to get that edge. I've already gone the caulk the corners inside the jamb extension, and then the reveal part. This can have, there's obviously some raw area right there, so you want to do that. I found the easiest way to fill in holes. Some people like wood putty. I like drywall. It just seems to be a little bit easier to work with. Maybe this is because I pre-finish it. I couldn't find my right blade, but got it in there, left it overnight to dry, and then I found these maroon pads work the best because they're not strong, they're not really hard that they'll actually scrape the paint. They'll buff it a little bit, but it can just essentially work on the drywall, and I just get that down. I just wanted to get it just flush with the surface. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I don't want to push so hard that I add a divot and I end up seeing that. So you can see what it looks like flush. You can obviously see it. I'm going to go ahead and paint it afterwards and touch it up. But I don't like using caulk because I once I put it in there and kind of push it with my finger, then I get an indentation. But once I had that all done with the sanding down, then I just touched it up with some paint. Actually went over it with the roller just to give a better finish, just because this is a semi-gloss and it's inside a bathroom, or because it's semi-gloss because it's inside a bathroom, but it gives a little bit more of a glare, so I didn't want to be able to see any brush marks. I'm sure it probably wouldn't have been okay, but I was just it's kind of small job, so it was okay just to be a little bit picky like this. But I just rolled out those paint marks so that I got a nice flat surface just to finish it up. And so here is the final version. You can see I get a nice reveal all there around it. Everything looked okay to me. I was really happy the way it came out. And then the last part is just kind of seal around the edges, make sure that's, gives you so that you can't see that as well, and you should be all done.